What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna be doing a build series on the Bronco. 10 episodes, taking this truck from a stock 30-year-old Ford Bronco to an adventure-seeking, wolf-eating adventure machine. Stick around, it's gonna be fun. Okay, in this video, episode 1 of this build series, I'm going to be replacing, probably in my opinion, some of the most problematic areas on the OBS platforms, and that is the steering. The steering on these old trucks, one, it's 30-year-old technology. Two, it's 30 years of use and abuse. This is all stock stuff under this truck. There's a ton of steering slop, ton of steering play. The steering shaft on these things has a rubber rag joint. You know, the tie rods are undersized for oversized tires, which is what I plan on doing down the line. So I'm super stoked to announce I've partnered and collaborated with Desolate Motorsports out of California, and they are the guys when it comes to the OBS platforms. They have taken out all the guesswork and meticulously put together a complete steering upgrade for the OBS Bronco. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be a new OEM Ford rebuilt steering box, a Saginaw power steering pump that is going to be retrofitted to the OBS trucks with a CAD design bracket that they have built, a replacement steering and basically your drive belt, steering shaft, and then we're going to be beefing up the tie rods to an oversized alternative as compared to what came on these stock. Now again, if you're going to be rebuilding your steering and having stock components for a stock application with like the 29-inch tires that came with these things, probably okay. That's not what I'm planning on doing. This is going to be an adventure built Bronco that I'm going to take camping and wheeling and all over the place, and I plan on doing a 35-inch tire. So beefing up the drivetrain and things that makes vehicle roll, we need to beef up the steering around it. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's go back to the shop, take a look at what's underneath this thing, and then we'll start looking at the parts that the kit came with, and we'll start bolting on some new parts in this thing. Okay, back in the shop, I got all the components that's going to be going on the first phase of this dusty build here on the table. Real quickly, I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the components that comes with the complete steering kit. So first and foremost, the main primary thing is going to be the Saginaw power steering pump. If you are an OBS guy, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the annoying OBS power steering wind. You know, you can get a brand new OEM Ford pump and they're all going to make noise. So this is essentially a GM power steering pump that's been retrofitted using the CAD design bracket from Desolate Motorsports. You know, this pump I think is a lot more efficient as well. So that's what this is. It literally will bolt on to the factory location for the Ford AC compressor bracket and a power steering bracket. This replaces that unit. So we're just going to be unbolting and then bolting this right back in its place. And then obviously when we get into power steering and we're dealing with hydraulic fluid, it's essentially just best to go ahead and do the whole shebang. So that way you don't have any contaminants inside your old power steering box. Plus the box that's on there is 30 years old. So Desolate Motorsports, again, taking the guesswork out of everything. They have OEM power steering pumps that have been totally rebuilt with all new internals and seals. So there's not going to be any slop. So this would be like a brand new pump that you got back in 1994. Whenever you do this kit, this pulley is a little bit different location, so they send the proper drive belt that goes on it as well, so that way everything is going to be where it's supposed to be, factory belt routing, but it is a little bit longer belt, so save this part number, and that's obviously included with the kit, so that if you need to replace a belt, you know what belt to put back on if you blow a belt somehow. Same thing, we're going to be removing the power steering cooling lines that are on the front of the truck stock. Desolate Motorsports, again, all pre-assembled high pressure and low pressure lines. Again, if you guys are OBS guys, obviously if you're watching this video, you probably are, but the steering on these old trucks, there's a lot of slop in it, right? And a lot of that is contributed to one, your truck just being 30 years old, but also the factory steering shaft on our trucks has a rubber rag joint down by the steering box. So this eliminates that. This comes with their complete steering kit as well. But essentially what it does is it eliminates the rag joint at the box and replaces it with U-joints. So this is going to be a solid, you know, connection between the steering wheel and the pump. The steering box. And then the last thing that goes with this kit is a complete set of tie rods that are oversized compared to what's on their stock. So again, just kind of giving you that little extra peace of mind that you're going to have beefier components to handle a more abusive driver like myself, or possibly you guys if you're going to be, you know, maybe going long travel down the line or a larger tire. And then the last thing that we're going to be doing in this video is the dash brace. So this is what that looks like. It goes on the passenger side of the dash onto the, basically the A-pillar, to eliminate the dash rattling up and down. All of this stuff is designed to enhance the driving experience for you guys in your OBS trucks. You know, I could have just went all out and did this whole build in one video, you know, suspension, whatever. I wanted to do it in phases to make it a little bit more relatable to, you know, you guys who's watching. If you're going to maybe, you know, step your build up in different phases, this might be a good way to do your truck as well. So complete steering kit, dash brace, enhances the driving characteristics of your truck, eliminates some noises inside the cab, thus giving you a better ride. So that's the components. Next thing to do is to go ahead and get the truck, basically start taking stuff apart. So let's go ahead and go over there and we'll start removing some stuff. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull off the air tubes and the air box so I can have a little bit more room to get to everything. There's one, there's two. I actually have an intake tube on mine also that I will have to pull off, maybe. There we go. Fun fact, this came on the 460 big blocks. Now we're gonna get a 15mm socket, pull the belt off. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the 4 10mm bolts that hold the AC compressor to the bracket. When you're pulling these AC compressor clips, be very careful. You are dealing with 30-year-old plastic that's been in the engine bay for a while, so. Next thing I'm going to do is get a pair of vice grips, pinch off the hose on the bottom side of the pump. That way when I cut the hose, I don't make a big mess. Next thing I'm gonna do is the cooling lines off of the pump that run on the engine cross member. Those have to come off as well. Those will not be reutilized. So I'm gonna go ahead and get underneath the truck. So we're gonna be removing the 3 14mm bolts that hold the whole bracket on the front of the motor. And 3. So now that I got that kind of freed up, what I'm going to do is cut the low pressure line on the bottom of my vice grips, so that way the pump doesn't drain out all over my floor, and pull it out. Boom, just like that. The whole assembly is out. And I'm gonna put this on the table and let you see the difference between this one and the new one. So here you go, guys. You can kind of see the difference between the Desolate Motorsports CAD design brackets to the original cast aluminum one that was from Ford. The original Ford power steering pump versus the Saginaw GM pump. You know, you see the pump body itself is just a lot larger than the Ford one. The reservoir itself is built into this. It's a lot larger reservoir than this one. So this pump theoretically should run a little cooler than this one did, which is why you don't have to run all of the cooling lines like this one had, but all of the same stock mounting locations. It literally just bolts back on in the stock location. So don't need this anymore, so I'm gonna go ahead and disregard this. The next thing that I gotta do is this whole steering box, which is right here, that all has to come out. This is that rag joint that I was telling you guys about right there, and that is the steering shaft, you know, going up into the firewall to the steering wheel. So this will have to be replaced here in a minute, but the box needs to come off first. So in order to do that, I got to pull the steering shaft off the box. So we're going to basically back this top screw out. This will come totally out. We'll pry this apart to free up the box, and then unbolt the 3 bolts that hold it to the frame, and then that whole unit will basically slide up and out of here with the cooling lines attached to it. So should be pretty easy, straightforward process to get that box totally out of the truck. Okay, Box is off. I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside. I'll pull the pitman arm off of this because I will be reusing the stock pitman arm for now, and then go ahead and hang the new box, the new pump, and we'll keep moving forward. It's time to go back in with the new one, and before we bolt the new one in, we're gonna go ahead and mount the lines to the box to kind of make things a little easier when we go to start plumbing the box to the pump. Got a low pressure line, got a high pressure line. These are specific on where they go into the steering box, so we're gonna review the instructions. I know a lot of us out there don't like doing that, but could damage the pump if you get them backwards or damage a line, so we definitely don't want to do that. Do not need any Teflon or anything either. They've got you know, tapered in, so just get them into the steering box. You don't got to be super tight either, and then just kind of snug them down, and that'll be all you need to do. Again, like I said, these don't need to be super tight. Okay, high pressure line is going to be the one front of the vehicle. So it's going to go right here. Okay, on the return line, you got a little connector. You're just going to slide this in. Once you got that little connector into your return line, same thing. You're going to go ahead and thread it on the connector here. There's one hose clamp that comes with this. You do not need to put a hose clamp at the box. It needs to go at the pump. It's just a little side note there. Now, I'm going to come over here to the pump. Last fitting here. I'm going to go ahead and put this into the bottom of the pump. Okay. Boom. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Such a huge improvement in aesthetics alone. Something about having a badass steel bracket. Drop that back into place. Corrosion. This way. Steering box is on, pump is on, bracket's on, compressor's on, pump is plumbed to the box. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount the belts, and then we will move to the bottom of the truck and do the tie rods. Then I'll do the steering shaft last, is the plan. So I'm about halfway done basically. So again, they send you the belts. Belt routes in the exact same way that it was factory, just this belt is just a little bit longer. So we're gonna go ahead and start slinging the belt up on this thing. So I wanted to show you guys, this is the factory steering shaft, this is the aftermarket one. The factory one, you can see it's got a rubber rag joint here, and that is essentially how it moves, and just, you know, just really quickly. I mean, so a lot of that slop in the OBS steering is from this bad boy. You know, granted it does eliminate some vibration through the steering, but you know, it just, after 30 years of the use, look how flimsy, I mean, I'm just barely weight one that. 30 years, that rubber just gets so soft, and then you have a lot of play translated through the steering wheel. So the Borgeson one is 2 universal joints on either end and eliminates that slop. However, when you get these shafts, they are both fully collapsed. You can kind of see, you know, they're engineered to collapse. In the event of an accident, you don't have a steering column through your chest. But the Borgeson one comes They're both fully compressed. That's extended, compressed. It comes longer in the case of, everybody's trucks are different. So somebody might have like a body lift or something, I don't know. So we've got to trim this one down to match this. And in order to do that, this sleeve here has got a little seal in it, which essentially has, it's kind of for vibration dampening and also road noise. So you don't want to mess that up. There's a little set screw in here. Just loosen that up, slide it down. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to back these set screws off this side. So, and then we will trim this side of the shaft. So what we're going to do is we're going to line these up, and then essentially we're going to just kind of hold this where it needs to go. Okay. Hope you guys can see that on camera. So we're going to cut this upper shaft down to here. This will slide on and then give us essentially that same collapsed measurement. And then, this fully extended will be about the same as it was before. So. Okay, now that we've got it all trimmed down, what we're going to do is we're going to slide this U-joint back on, making sure we don't bottom it out 100%. We're going to put the set screw back in because we got to drill it. So we're going to use the set screw as the indicator of where to drill our hole. Pull that back off. Then hopefully you guys can see that in the camera, but now we know exactly where we need to drill our hole at. So let's go ahead and get that drilled out. Okay, now that we've got our hole drilled, we're going to take our set screw and run it down into there, all the way down until it bottoms out. Okay. Boom. There you have it. So you guys can see, fully collapsed, fully extended. Now we're ready to reinstall. Steering shaft done. Power steering box done. Power steering pop and bracket done. Belt done. Next thing we're going to do is put it up on the lift and we'll do the tie rods. I'm going to go ahead and put the pitman arm back on the steering box. The cool thing about these boxes is they come centered, so as long as you don't screw with it when you bolt it on, all you gotta do is put your pitman arm back on and it'll be exactly where it needs to be at. Okay. There we go. So again, this isn't going to be exact. This is what you call a good old eyeball alignment. What I'm going to do is measure the old one from grease dirt to grease dirt, which will give me pretty much a really close, accurate measurement from center point of tie rod to center point of tie rod end. So we got 40 inches. Whew. All right, now that I got this piece roughly the same measurement as what the other one was, we're gonna loosely hang it. Now that this one is hung, same thing, after we get this up there, I'm gonna measure the other side from here to the other wheel to make it match what was on there and slap it on too. Same thing, you can see the just the overall diameter of this one compared to that one is substantially thicker. Same thing on the tie rod end, just a lot bigger end. So we're gonna get this measurement. Roughly, we've got 23 7/8. Three 7/8. All right, so hang that right there. Okay. Haha. Okay, we got steering loosely hung. I'm gonna go ahead and lock the ends down. Put all the grease darts in. Okay, these things come with a little bit of grease in them, but we're gonna go ahead and top them off while we have access under here. All right guys, I am totally done underneath the truck and over the truck. The steering is totally installed. The last thing I have to do is I just need to bleed the box. So just want to show you guys, this is everything totally installed. You know, the new tie rod is bolted up. New steering box up there. And of course the other side tie rod end. And everything is greased, lubed, snug, torqued. And we should be ready to rock and roll. So I'm gonna put the truck back on the ground, bleed the system, and then we will go take it for a drive. And then I'll kind of give you my just overall impressions in the truck and how it felt before versus how it feels now with completely new steering from Desolate Motorsports. Very important step that you cannot miss. So with this pump, you cannot run ATF in it. I know a lot of guys will run, you know, transmission fluid in your power steering system. Do not do that if you're doing this kit. Buy either AC Delco 10 or just make sure you get a premium power steering fluid. Do not run ATF. So I went to my local O'Reilly's. They didn't have AC Delco, so I bought a couple bottles of Royal Purple, again, high performance power steering fluid and conditioner. Next thing I gotta do is I gotta bleed the system out. In order to do that, I need to raise the truck off the ground so that way the wheels are not on the ground. Fill up the pump and then just cycle the wheel back and forth until there's no bubbles left in the system. If you do not do this, you run the risk of damaging your brand new pump, so you want to not miss this step. Okay, there's that. Very important, you do this with the truck off. Do not start it yet until you've got the system primed. All right, now we're gonna just cycle the steering wheel back and forth. Boom, everything is installed. We got the box on, we got the power steering lines on, we got the power steering pump and bracket on, we got the new tie rods bolted up, we got an eyeball alignment, we got the system bled. So now I'm gonna fire it up for the first time, see if we've eliminated that pesky OBS power steering wind, and then we're gonna hop inside, go take it for a test drive. I'm gonna give you my firsthand, just kind of my overall impressions on how the steering feels versus how it was before. So let's go ahead and turn this thing on. Quiet as a church. Yes! That is so crazy how much quieter it is compared to before. No power steering whine at all. I can hear the injectors clicking. That's how quiet it is. That is crazy. Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna put the intake tubes back on. I'm gonna pull it out of the shop and let's go drive this bad boy. Okay, first drive with the new steering. And we are literally in the parking lot of the shop. Immediately, the steering is a lot more precise. It's, I mean, the same cliche words, tighter, less slop. I mean, it's substantially different. Flashlight. It's crazy because like the immediate thing that I notice is the truck is just so much quieter. Man, my eyeball alignment was pretty good. The steering wheel straight as an arrow. Yeah, that definitely made a huge difference on how it feels. Now that the steering is quieter and smoother, I can feel other drivetrain components that are wore out. It feels like I either got a U-joint out or maybe a front hub or bearing. And it's not that I couldn't feel that before, but the steering pump, power steering pump, is so much quieter and the truck just seems a lot smoother up in the front. I can feel and hear more of the driver input from the rest of the truck around me, which is crazy. Steering is so much better though. I mean, it's like so much better. So impressed by this. It's so much better. What a huge difference that made. The steering wheel is straight. What? Eyeball alignment. Boom. It's got a little bit of a drift, but the steering wheel is straight when you hold it straight. Still needs an alignment though. Just got back from about an hour test drive. I love driving this thing so much, and I can't wait for what it feels and how much I enjoy it now as a stock Bronco to what it's going to become by the end of this series. So far, like I said, we've got the total complete steering upgrade from Desolate Motorsports in the Bronco. The steering feel is a night and day difference on what it was before to now. It is absolutely crazy on how much more precise and just tight that the steering feels. So huge improvement. Desolate Motorsports, you nailed it with this package. The next thing that I'm going to do today for the end of this video is I'm going to be putting in a dash brace, which is this little bracket right here. And essentially what that is going to do is, you know, the OBS trucks are notorious for the dashes. I mean, it's 30 years old. It's plastic. You know, things just wear out. But so I got to pull this cover off down here and get access to the bottom corner of the dash, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in. It's basically a bolt-on thing with the exception of drilling, you know, I think 3 holes. So I'm going to go ahead and put a camera set up, show you guys how I'm doing that. So just another alternative. Again, this whole video, the purpose of this video was to just give you guys an idea of what you can do to enhance the driving experience of your Bronco or F-150, F-250, whatever it is. Just, again, a bunch of bolt-on mods to fix very problematic areas on the OBS truck.